Words of Buddha. Never in this world does hatred cease by hatred. Never in this world does hatred cease by hatred. Hatred ceases by love. Hatred ceases by love. And this according to the law, which has existed forever. Never in this world does hatred cease by hatred. Never in this world, only by love. Never in this world has hatred ceased hatred. Hatred ceases by love. Hatred ceases by love. And this according to a law, which has existed forever. Which has existed forever. It has existed forever.
Good morning. Welcome to CSL this beautiful day in the neighborhood. I just have a couple announcements to start. This Wednesday night will be inspirational films. We will be posting something on your email. David will be picking out some inspirational films and we'll post those for Wednesday night. Also, we upload those to YouTube, so we have a YouTube channel that you can get any of our messages on, the messages we've been doing outside, and the prior messages we uploaded to YouTube, as well as music from David and Tamara. We have quite a bit of that. We have music from Roy on there. So please go to the YouTube channel if you're looking for some spiritual juice in the middle of the week, and you can find it there.
What's it called?
It's called Center for Spiritual Life Delta. Okay? And you can subscribe to that, and I think then it notifies you when we put a new YouTube up. We also have, just for your information, if you don't know, we have some guidelines, some COVID guidelines that we are following, and those are printed and on a sheet of paper behind the sign. So if you would like to know what we're following and why, it says right on those guidelines. Anything else about that, Dave? Okay. It's August already. Can you believe it? The second week in August. Happy summer. It's just moving right along. Our focus has been life in the slow lane. So welcome to our summertime services. And I just would like to take this moment to appreciate this great outdoors and the beauty that surrounds us here in Delta, Colorado. I don't know how we got so lucky to have outdoor services all summer long. This is awesome. I'm really enjoying it, and the weather is really great. Although you know that we'll be doing these services outside, rain or shine, so be sure and bring some protection if it does rain. So let's just take a breath together here. Let's just breathe. I'm mostly talking to me. A mindful breath. And so we can allow our vision and our mission to be a blessing that we send into the world, all spoken in unison right here with our intention of recognizing spiritual unity with all. So let us speak our vision and mission together. This center offers a path for awakening to the realization of oneness, open hearts, inspired life, empowered love. Our spiritual community welcomes all people to embrace oneness as the truth of our being. Together, we see a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission? We recognize and realize the omnipresence of divine love as the truth of all.
And in this perfect moment, in this beautiful natural setting, I recognize the one life, the one love, the one power, and the one presence, which I call God. Life is the flow of life happening everywhere and through everyone. Everything is a divine expression of this power. And this power is the essence of who I am, the essence of all life, the essence of everyone here today. And this is the truth of our being. And I declare that this life is conspiring for our highest and our best. That love is expressing forth as a unique expression in each of our lives. I accept that we are each open, receptive, willing, and allowing. And we surrender all thoughts, beliefs, habits, unlike our true nature. God's idea of us as itself is revealing itself in that still, small, soft voice that speaks even now. We behold the wonder of life, Spirit giving itself to itself, and we are the receivers of this glorious expression of love. And I turn my attention to the prayer chest, and I affirm wholeness and perfection expressing in each request. For each request is a center of divine activity, that God is right there, expressing itself in its fullness of health, of joy, of abundance, of security, of protection, and of creativity. This divine expression flows with ease and grace, and the answers pour forth right now. So in thanksgiving for this truth, I know that we are all blessed here today by the presence of everyone. We are blessed by the volunteers. We are blessed by each and every one as our light shines, and we are connected in the oneness of love. So in gratefulness for this power and presence that is always available, it's always within, and it is always right where we are, I release this word to the law, knowing it is already so, as we join together and declare, and so it is.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul.
If there is something in your life that is troubling you, giving you worry, apprehension, or you just want a little more positive oomph, just put your name in the prayer chest and just leave your worries with God, and the practitioner will do affirmative prayer this week on your behalf in support of you. And my quote today: man is an overcomplicated organism. If he is doomed to extinction, he will die out, not for want. Let me say that again. Man is an overcomplicated organism. If he is doomed to extinction, he will die out for want of simplicity. That was Ezra Pound. Remember, simplicity. And from Ernest Home, to return to a sane simplicity is one of the first and most important things to do.
Thank you, Lou. Those are perfect. So, life in the slow lane. Here we go. Is anybody in the slow lane? Okay. All right. You don't have to be. It's all right. It's all your choice. John DePaulo says, slow down and everything you are chasing will come around and catch you. I like that. Right? Lily Tomlin tells us, for fast-acting relief, try slowing down. So for the rest of this month, I'm going to take the word slow, okay? And I'm going to use that acronym to share ideas and ways to bring peace of mind through slowing down. So today is S, and S is for simple. And Lou just gave us a couple of quotes about simplicity there. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you to finish this sentence, okay? If life were simple, finish the sentence. If life were simple, somebody share one.
I'd be happier.
Oh, okay. Did you hear? If life were simple, I'd be happier. If life were simple, just yell it out.
I'd be energized.
I'd be energized. If life were simple,
I wouldn't know what to do.
I wouldn't know what to do. All very valid answers. Anybody else? If life were simple,
I'd live in harmony.
we'd live in harmony. What was this one?
I'd relax.
I'd relax. There'd be no hunger. Is that what you said? Okay, go ahead. Just yell them out.
There'd be no hunger.
Okay. All right. So simplicity is talked about a lot in self-help or in spiritual empowerment teachings. And it has been so key in my journey that I just can't leave it out as one of the major ways to slow down life and experience more peace. Okay? I had a deep spiritual realization one day, and it seems so simple now. Does anybody have that where you got something really deep, aha, and it's something you've been hearing forever, right? Well, we all have those aha moments, and I had one time, and I really realized, that's what makes it aha, when you really realize, that all my desires in life really boiled down to one, and that was peace of mind. When I thought about everything that I wanted, it all came down to the very bare bones of it was peace of mind. Inner peace is what I was wanting. I realized that if I reach for peace of mind, that I can find the places in my life where I'm not experiencing peace. Seems a little easier to find places we're not experiencing peace. And then honestly bring those things to my attention and create a plan to actually do something different that may lead me to more peace. So of course, this was just one more project for me to take on, but I made the decision that it was an important goal, and I set out to observe myself and uncover ways that I may be causing unnecessary stress for myself and ways to let go of what is not serving me in being the person that I want to be, in being my best self. I needed to let go of some of these places that were too complicated. So I'm going to tell my own story this morning, okay, because I really was the poster child for a complicated life. And so I have a lot of experience in complicating life, okay? I'm using complicated as the opposite of simple here. So let me just share a little bit. It may be the height of my busyness. I don't know. I've been busy for a long time, but I was raising 5 children. That in itself is a lot. I had children active in multiple schools, so everything that goes along with having 5 children. I had way too many pets for all of these children as well. I was a coach at the high school for 2 separate teams, the dance team and the color guard for marching band. Both of those were teenage girls. Okay. I was also the band parent extraordinaire for 12 years. I was, of course, working for this center still, just like I am now. I was a server or waitress part-time at the restaurant at the golf course in Cedar Edge. I was stopping 1 day a week in Hotchkiss to help my mom and dad with chores after I had been to Hotchkiss and finished cleaning a very large home with a guest cottage, also in Hotchkiss. And I was playing and performing music with Marty and Marianne Rathburn. And those are just the things that I could think of at the top of my head. So that was quite a full life. I felt like I wanted to do all of those things, and I enjoyed doing most of those things. And although I thought I was practicing spiritual principles, which I was practicing, I wasn't experiencing much peace of mind in many areas of my life at that time. It was very stressful and very complicated. And as my life crowded in on me, I knew I needed to let go of some things and bring more simplicity into my life. I started with this simple exercise that I've used and shared over the years. I know I've shared it with you at some point. So the exercise, is this the joy of the neighborhood, right? Bless you. I made up these little worksheets in case you want to do this, okay? This was incredibly helpful to me. I do this often. And so what this little worksheet did, it says at the top, list in order of value the 5 most important things in your life. 1 being the most important and 5 being the least important, okay? So it just gives 5 places to list. Now, the reason I don't want to do this here now is because it takes some thought. I really need to think where I am. This is changing. And so I need to think, where am I right now? What is the most important thing in my life right now? What do I value the most? And these are 5 things, and you're just going to put them in order of the top thing and then the next. And so, there you go. That's right. So then what I do next is I number 1 through 5 again, and now I list these same 5 things in order of time and energy that I spend on them. 1 being the most time and energy, and 5 being the least time and energy. So then I've got this little piece of paper that tells me if I'm in alignment, okay? Down at the bottom it says, make appropriate adjustments for more harmony and peace of mind, okay? So if you want one of these worksheets, I put them on the tables up here. It's just, I do it often so that I can see where my thoughts are in alignment with my actions. So my number 1 was spiritual time. My number 1 is God. You can put it however you want. There's going to be all kinds of answers. You know, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's people. My number 1 is my spiritual life. Okay, God. So I started with more spiritual time. I thought I need to put more time into my spiritual time. I got up earlier and I stayed up later, and I began to find more time to rest in the presence of God. And I simply became addicted to the peace that I felt when I placed my attention on the presence of God as my reality, instead of everything I needed to do as my reality. My real reality was in the presence of God, so I needed to spend more time there. Slowly, I was shown a new perspective of my life. I say I was shown. I just saw things differently. It's just magic. I just saw things differently. I was shown new ways to relate to my life, and I simply lost interest in some things that were no longer feeding my soul. They just fell away. I received the strength to disappoint some people by saying no more. The outer world started rearranging itself to reflect the peace that I was feeling. Don't you think that's cool? My faith deepened. I was on a whole new level. And this time, Spirit was leading me. I followed my peace, and it kept leading me to a more simple way of living. Spirit is simple. Following this path is not easy, for sure, because we have equated complicated with successful. But simple is so worth it. I became a whole new person, like I was born again, a child again, because children are simple. They think simply. So much weight lifted off of my shoulders. I experienced a spaciousness that allowed me to see beauty and connection in all things. And soon I was witnessing this God presence within me as my highest self, naturally and organically creating a more beautiful, stress-free lifestyle filled with wonder and awe. So my life is fairly simple now. Last year I sold my house that was too big for just me. I let go of my mortgage. My debts are paid. I gave away most of my belongings, and I stored some. I moved into a 12 by 14 inch, or 12 by 14 foot space. That's close. With Roy. And I invested with him in building a home on an acre of land north of Cedar Edge. I have one car. I have one phone. I have one job. I spend time 3 days a week being with my mom. And I'm getting to help raise my grandson, Zeke. I can't even imagine how I used to do everything I did. But I do remember my share of grouchy days. I remember my share of stressful moments and strained relationships. Even though I was doing things I loved to do, mostly, there simply was no time to enjoy my life because I was so full. My mind was always thinking. What do I have to do next? Who did I say I would do something for? Thinking. And Gandhi says, I have so much to accomplish today that I must meditate for 2 hours today instead of 1. That is so true. That's where I started my journey into a deeper understanding of life through simple. A simple life is a deep life. Simplicity exposes the deep joy at the center of your being, and I call that stillness. A simple life creates more time and space in my life physically, and more space in my mind. A simple life slows down my thought process. Without so much to think about all of the time, it allows me to become aware of more space, or more emptiness, or more stillness, where that peace resides. I become aware of an absence of thought. I can sense the space between my thoughts. Eckhart Tolle calls that inner space. To be aware of that inner, that more subtle realm of energy allows us to experience the peace that resides there. The peace in that uplifted, energetic field. To be aware of that inner, that more subtle realm of energy allows us to experience the peace that resides there in that uplifted energetic field. Eckhart Tolle writes in his book, A New Earth, one of my very favorite books that I read so many times, and not just read it, I used it. I did the exercises in it, and he covers so much material in that book. For me, it was life-changing. Just a little plug for that. So he says, when you hear of inner space, you may start seeking it. And because you are seeking it as if you were looking for an object or for an experience, you cannot find it. This is the dilemma for all those who are seeking spiritual realization or enlightenment. Jesus said, the kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed, nor will they say, lo, here it is, there. For behold, the kingdom of God is in the midst of you. Tolle says, if you are able to enjoy simple things, like listening to the sound of rain or wind, if you can see the beauty of clouds moving across the sky, or be alone at times without feeling lonely or needing the mental stimulus of entertainment, if you feel yourself treating a complete stranger with heartfelt kindness, without wanting anything from them, it means that a space has opened up, no matter how briefly, in the otherwise incessant stream of thinking that is the human mind. When this happens, there is a sense of well-being, of alive peace, even though it may be subtle. Alive peace. He says there is a common element in the ability to see beauty, to appreciate simple things, to enjoy your own company, or to relate to other people with loving kindness. And this common element is a sense of contentment. It is the peace and aliveness that is the invisible background without which these experiences would not be possible. I just love the invisible background. And so recognizing, creating more space in our mind and recognizing the space between our thoughts allows us to get a little glimpse of that invisible background without which these experiences would not be possible. Many poets and sages throughout the ages have observed that true happiness, this is Eckhart still, I call it the joy of being, is found in simple, seemingly unremarkable things. Most people in their restless search for something significant to happen to them continuously miss the insignificant, which may not be insignificant at all.
10,000 flowers in spring, the moon in autumn, cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind isn't clouded by unneeded things, this is the best season of your life. If your mind isn't clouded by unneeded things, this is the best season of your life. This is a poem from 13th century Chinese Zen Buddhist monk Wu Men. 10,000 flowers in spring, the moon in autumn, cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind isn't clouded by unneeded things, this is
Ramana Pamaraju quoted, "Being simple is the most complicated thing nowadays." So I'd like to share this reading by Catherine Sanford, and it's called "Why is Life So Complicated for You?" And she gives 5 reasons why. She says, "We live in a world where constant change and disruption is a given. During this pandemic, I found it difficult to adjust to living a life with no social contact, apart from those living in my bubble. I quickly realized that to get through living with COVID-19 regulations and rules, I had to keep my life as uncomplicated as possible. The more complicated I made my life, the more frenetic, anxious, and fearful I became. This was not an easy task, and every day I had to work on overcoming the biggest obstacle ever, my mind." If you were to ask Confucius if life is complicated, his reply would be, "Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated." She continues and says, "The most difficult and anxiety-creating activity I found was doing the weekly shopping. Adjusting to a new way of shopping," now she lives somewhere besides Delta, obviously. "Adjusting to a new way of shopping where you had to stand in long queues to get into the grocery store, while still maintaining a 2-meter gap outside and inside the store, it was exhausting. One person per household was allowed to go to the grocery store, and that task was allocated to me. I began to dread the weekly trip, and I had to work really hard to manage my anxiety. I soon realized that if I continued to believe that this shopping exercise was complicated and challenging, then guess what? It would be. It's easy to see something as complicated when it forces us to shift our lives in some major way. But it's often useful to first work on seeing this change in a more positive or simpler light. What will this change teach you? Can you incorporate it into your routine without too much upheaval? Do your best to make it as straightforward as possible." She says the first reason that she talks about your complicated life, she calls this complexity bias. The complexity bias is a reason why we humans lean towards complicating our lives rather than keeping things simple. When we're faced with too much information, or we're in a state of confusion about something, we will naturally focus on the complexity of the issue rather than look for a simple solution. In a recent article, the author explains when we succumb to complexity bias, we are focusing too hard on the tricky 10% and ignoring the easy 90%. I like that. When you're dealing with a situation that you feel is complicated and overwhelming, try to focus on coming up with a solution or strategy that is simple. Ask yourself this question: if I take the simple, straightforward approach, what will be the outcome? She says the second way we complicate our lives is being constantly worried. Anybody worried? You know, I a lot of times didn't think I was worried until I was having worrying anxiety thoughts, and I'm like, I'm worried. Wow. You got to be paying attention, right? She suggests using meditation, breathing, yoga, journaling, Tai Chi, music, among many other things to calm your worry mind and ease anxiety. Number 3 way we complicate our lives is to try to control everything. She says striving to have control in your life is a sign that you are living your life in fear. You need to break free of your fears and learn to accept that there are things in life that are outside of your control. Number 4, this is a common way we complicate our lives by basing our happiness on others' happiness. If you rely on another person's happiness to live life, Over time, the complications of life will overwhelm you, and you will lose your sense of self. You will find that you will be constantly trying to please others and trying to keep them happy. This is exhausting and detrimental to your well-being. This is exhausting. The number 5 way, she says, our lives seem complicated when we feed into the drama of life. I would say that we do that by paying more attention to the issues of life rather than the simple beauty of being alive, or the invisible background that holds the issues that we see. If you feel the beauty, then life becomes beautiful. But when you see only the issues, then life is complicated. Again, in the words of Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, he says, whenever there is beauty, kindness, the recognition of the goodness of simple things in your life, he says, feel for the background to that experience within yourself. The intensity of that feeling will vary from perhaps a barely noticeable sense of contentment to what the ancient sages of India called Ananda, the bliss of being. Ananda. Nothing is ever lost, and we That happens to be the song we sang the Sunday after my dad had passed away, and it just gets me. I love it. I want to share some words by Annie Walsh. She says, always and forever, I choose the simple life. The simple life is a beautiful life. It is in harmony with nature. One has more time to devote to the important things in life, such as loving animals and other people, growing up and learning to be a decent human being instead of a detriment to the planet, enjoying all the beauty in nature, and making one's dwelling, neighborhood, and the earth a better place to be. A simple life has the additional advantage of costing less, both in money and in energy. Real value is not in material objects, nor in the cost of one's home, the car one drives, the clothing or shoes one wears. Real value is in a person's experience, what he or she does with the talents and individual problems given him or her to learn from, develop in understanding, and grow. This can be done as well by a person of very few material means as by a person of vast riches. It does not require an expensive education. Every object we own requires our energy to maintain it. That is why a simple life with few possessions is so enlivening. A person has time and energy to look around, observe, and evade the traps, putting his or her energy into something worthwhile. Physical spaciousness, emotional simplicity, mental elegance are all products of an effort to remove oneself from complication. Spiritual growth seems to come more easily when a person says no every day to what is pressed upon us to accept complication. And Arthur Rosenfeld, he shares this. Are you aware that your life has become too complicated? Are you always rushing to catch up? Do you find yourself doing so many things at once that you barely remember the day, barely recall what you've accomplished, don't remember thinking hard or feeling anything especially keenly? Do you feel you are stressed by all the shoulds of your life, by the countless material things you must keep track of and care for, by the endless commitments you've made, the formidable list of titillations you find yourself unable to ignore, the responsibilities you have shouldered in order to feel more substantial, more a contributing member of society, more an important personage? If so, it may well be time to simplify your life. He says simplicity is purity. It is facing the true nature of things and embracing it instead of ducking and weaving and dodging, instead of filling a hole inside you with chaotic activity or an overabundance of stuff. A simple wardrobe, a simple routine, a simple home, a simple lifestyle, simple, straightforward, meaningful relationships. These words describe freedom, not limitation, intensity, not distraction, focus, not mental fog, a life fully lived, not a life of lack. A simple life is a deep life. So only you know whether you might benefit from becoming more simple in your thinking, in your stuff, in your schedule, or in your relationships. These days, many people would look at my life and really think that I'm still overcommitted or busy or anything but simple. But I gauge my success on my feelings of inner peace, not the outside appearance of my life. I'm doing the things I love, learning how to really be in the present moment with my grandson Zeke as we play in the sand pile for hours. or we watch a worm cross the grass, or we simply wait for the deer to appear in the trees again. What could be more rewarding than a small hand-built home on the side of a mountain with my two guys? Spending my days in the beauty of God's presence, enjoying time with my precious, precious, wise mom. Writing these words to share with you. Some days I'm still exhausted, but my mind is at peace. My body is at ease, and generally I sleep well. So if you would take this moment to just relax and breathe deeply with me and join me in this contemplation. So we start here from the simplest point. The simplest point, which is one. Just relax into that familiar, warm presence within you. Can you feel that? That is the same presence within me. We are each experiencing, in our own unique way, the one. I let out a sigh right now, letting go of all doubt of my connection with this presence pouring life into me from the very center and the core of my being. I sit and I allow and accept this divine presence, infusing me with its invisible essence, which is my true source and supply of all good. I feel the light of intelligence bathe my body from the inside out, wrapping its loving arms of wholeness and aliveness around every organ, every muscle, every bone, cell, and atom. It's saturating all of my thoughts, my beliefs, my emotions and feelings, my judgments, and my complications. It's saturating with the healing presence of the infinite, invisible, creative substance of God. That same substance that created me. Infinite intelligence. I don't have to try to be something. I already am everything. I am infinite intelligence. There is a place in my beingness where I know everything. A place where all things are known. But I must take myself to that place in consciousness. I must lift myself to that place by opening to a new idea. I need nothing more than to know this truth, and this truth shall set me free. But I first must know it by experience before it can truly set me free. I rest in the simple nature of God's everywhere present love, even right here and right now, in me and in you, in us as one. And so it is. So I let that be.
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning, God you are, every midnight, God you are, every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God you are, every sunrise, God you are, every moon glow, God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky, God you are, every springtime, God you are, every snowfall, God you are, every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are the very air I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Okay, as the ushers make ready, this is our time for participating in the spiritual practice of circulation. So if you'll take your gift in your hand, and in great gratitude for the unlimited givingness of spirit, I gratefully participate in the law of circulation, affirming my absolute unity with spirit. And our affirmation, I am aligned with the energy of wealth and abundance.
You move too fast, you got to make the morning last. Just kick it down the cobblestones. Look at the fun and feeling groovy. Feeling groovy, da 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 da. Feeling groovy, well, the lamppost, what you knowing? Come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhyme? Just one thing. Feeling groovy. Feeling groovy, da 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 da. Feeling groovy. No plans to do, no promises to keep. Dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, always groovy. Always groovy. Always groovy.
Come on, sing it.
Slow down, you move too fast. Got to make the morning last. Just kick down the cobblestones. Look at the fun and feeling groovy. Feeling groovy. Feeling groovy.
And in great gratitude, these gifts are blessed for the unfoldment of the highest good in all of its activities, and so it is.
Thank you, Lou, so much. I would like to welcome anyone who is here for the first time. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Life. If you'd like to know a little bit more about our center, Tamara's the go-to girl. Of course, you could ask anyone here, but Tamara has most of the answers. Wow. I'm going to hang out with her more. She has most of the answers. I'm still seeking.
She's been to the mountaintop.
Or a tumble down. She can also take your debit or credit card if you choose to pay for anything we do at the center, your tithes, on your debit or credit card. Tamara can do that as well, also up here, on wherever she is. Thank you, Tamara, so much.
Oh, yeah,
Everything
baby.
you do.
Feeling groovy.
They're also.
coming out.
Thank you. Here she comes. Yeah, slow and easy, that's it. Okay, I'd like to just talk a little bit more about prayer requests. Behind the sign on the table are our prayer request forms. I really encourage you to fill one of those out if you have something challenging you, if you have a fear that you can't seem to let go of. Let it go in the prayer chest. Lou Kunzelman is a licensed practitioner of religious science, and she is taking those prayer requests home with her. She has her own spiritual time where she does prayer every day, probably multiple times, and she will include you personally in on her prayer time. I just don't know how much better it gets than that. So if you have something, or maybe you need some extra, like she said, loving on a project that you have going on, please feel free to put a prayer request in the chest. It is so powerful. I just want you to know prayer is so powerful, so use it. Thank you, Lou, for the work that you are doing for us. Thank you so much. Okay, so y'all have your piece of paper with your affirmations on it, right? So we're at the repetitive affirmation. A little different now. We are saying all 5 of these things in order. Okay, so look them over a little bit so that you can say them with gusto. Here we go. I have everything I need within me. I am centered and strong. I am steady and aware. I am joyful and wise. I am enjoying the journey. And so it is.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time.
Affirmation there. Let's read it. Here we go. Life